to our Tech Talk with Wayne Hieronymus from Delta Rep Group. And Wayne has been a member of RT3 since the beginning, a long time, 10 years now. And he and I had a chance to catch up a couple months ago, and Wayne's been doing some incredible things with AI and teaching himself and learning. So he is our tech talk for today, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Wayne, while I switch PowerPoints. So
Okay,
give me
thank
just
you.
a second. Okay. And I'll put it in show mode. You tell me when you want me to change slides. It's all
Okay,
yours.
great. So good afternoon, everybody. I was shuffling papers, so I didn't get a chance to see everybody that's on here. But um, I want to do a disclaimer slide to start off with. And one, Trent Cotney and I go back to the beginning too. I used to go to association meetings where I always thought I was the youngest looking guy in the room, but I was wrong. It was Trent. And he's been our counsel forever and has always told us how important antitrust is and to play the game right. So I also have an antitrust compliance that we put in all our presentations. Along with that, I want to make a disclaimer that this is an AI assisted presentation. And since it's out of the realm of roofing or AIA presentations or what the field I come from, I wouldn't make any business decisions off this presentation. I mean, it's AI. So, and with that, responsibility and use, anybody that's on the call is welcome to the presentation. Just contact Karen or myself, and you can absolutely, it's all yours. Okay, so we got that out of the way. I want to be very clear. This is a learning session, and I'm not reading slides, but in the beginning, it's not an education session. It's a learning session, and the goal is to leave with better questions than you came in with. We're all trying to learn this. No way am I an AI expert. I'm a roofing guy, which is important and plays into this. And I'll also say I don't think anybody's an AI expert. I think we're going to wait 5 to 7 years to see anybody that really understands what's going on. And I'll also clarify, I'll sum up everything. This is not about guessing what the future is or what futures are. We'll just leave it at one word, and I choose chaos. So it's incredible things that are going on. And the last and the important thing, I'm not selling anything to anybody. I don't have anything in this but wanting to give back. With the exception, if you're in Florida, I'd love to sell you ISO, coverboard, and silicone coating. But if those things aren't mentioned, absolutely am I not trying to sell anything. This is a story, a learning experience about what I've gone through, and hopefully there's some applicable things for you. The two main takeaways on this is ROI and risk management. Next slide, please.
Oh, I just got my people moved. Hang on. Give me a
Okay,
second.
sure.
I will advance. There we go.
How am I doing, Heidi?
Doing
Okay.
great, Wayne. Sorry,
Um,
I'm like trying to unmute and out in the
yeah,
woods,
yeah,
fire
yeah.
behind
Okay.
me. So go for it.
Okay. So why do I want to give back? Well, uh, I believe in associations. And when I got into roofing, I looked for the right group. I joined everything. I got thrown out of all kinds of places, AIA, CSI. I was always looking for a home. And I found one at the FRSA, and I found one at the RCI, which was the predecessor to the IBEC. But then I believe it was Trent gave me a call and asked me to join the technology think tank. So it was a group of thought leaders who are going to go around and find out about technologies that were going to affect the industry and where we might be going. I said, sign me up for that. I've been to Microsoft headquarters. I've been to OMG's research and development department, 3M's research and development, and to Washington, D.C., which is another part of the story. I have takeaways from every one of those events, plus the neat people that I met, and I'm just a real believer in RT3. Next slide, please. Now, this goes somewhere. First of all, yeah, that guy with the circle there and the cool haircut is me. In 1991, as a very young roofing salesman for Allied Signal, which was Allied Chemical at the time. And in the middle there, circled, was a guy named Rick Powell. And Rick Powell was the Northeast manager. And years later, he gave me a phone call and he said, Wayne, someone very, very special is coming to your territory, and I want you to call on him and I want you to meet him. And that was John Kenny. And that's where I was told to hook up with John Kenny. And that has been we've done amazing things together over the years. So what you're looking at is a 35 plus year coal tar pitch salesman. And starting his career in 91, not really knowing what was going on. The point of this slide we'll get to in a minute, but while I was looking back, what were the sales tools? How did I operate in 1991? Cell phones cost about $1,200 back then, but they were only cell phones and they were the size of a brick. And they cost anywhere from $600 to $1,000 a month in cell phone fees. They weren't smartphones. We carried road maps with us. We had envelopes to put our receipts in. There was no texting. Email was limited to some stupid name at AOL.com, and it was rotary dial, and no one used it. There was no texting, and nobody had a website. So when the young salesman needed to find out the difference between type 1 and type 3 coal tar pitch, you either read it in the manual, which you always kept product manuals in your car, or you look for somebody with gray hair and you ask them. And every time you ask them, of course, it sounded like you didn't know anything, but it didn't matter. But that's the way we grew up. And success depended heavily on personal relationships, distributor and contract contacts, face-to-face visits, technical knowledge, and incredibly disciplined follow-up, because you're doing it off of your roadmaps, your notebook, and your Rolodex. So my military background helped a lot because I had the discipline to do the follow-up, and that's the way I did it. So how does this work into the presentation? Next slide. The reason I got involved in AI, which was just a couple, 3 years ago, not that long ago, I came to the realization that I'm calling on a younger generation that's always staring into their computer, looking at their phone, and I don't know, has that much technical knowledge, but they have a lot of tools at their hand. At the same time, I never met an Amazon sales rep. And I realized that Amazon's the largest retail company in the world and doesn't have a storefront. And Uber's the largest transportation company and doesn't own a car. Times are changing, and I'm not getting any younger. Then I start hearing about AI, and I'm thinking, man, how do I add value? How do I remain relevant? So I tried to, start Googling stuff, teaching myself. It wasn't going anywhere. I decided to go back to school a couple of years ago, and I took a class on prompt engineering. Um, I also took a class on computer science and where everybody fits in. And thank goodness I did that. Because in that green portion of this graphic, business knowledge, or what they say, knowledge from the domain, is incredibly important to AI. You have to have somebody there that knows if the output is good or bad, to help code, to help set up your AI system. And being a 35 plus year commercial roofing guy, I have a spot. And out of that realization or discovery, I found out that AI is not taking our jobs. It's going to enhance, it's a tool, uh, maybe like a roofing torch. Give it to a qualified roofer. He'll put together a beautiful roof. Give it to me, I'll start a fire. Well, AI is the same thing. If you don't know what you're doing, it's going to lead you very quickly to very wrong decisions. So that's why the old slide of the old roofing guy getting in to the field and understanding, I think in the long run, we're going to be okay. With that said, no way in the world is roofing in the crosshairs of AI. We have plenty of time to learn it. I'd advocate that maybe it's better to be 2 steps behind than 1 step ahead. We'll talk more about that, but roofing's safe for the near future, unlike a lot of other companies. Next slide, please. When I went to learn roofing, I had to learn good reps know every definition from APP to TPO to SBS to all the acronyms and everything. Basic definitions matter. You need to understand when we're talking about LLMs, AGI, AI, neural networks, machine learning, whatever it is, when you hear a word that you don't understand, jot it down, just like in the old roofing days, and learn it. And then once you learn it, you have it. But definitions really, really matter in AI. Okay? And it's all here for you with the takeaways. But go ahead, please. This slide I did on April 20th. It's AI. I don't, attest to its accuracy, but I think you get the point. NVIDIA at the time has a market value of about $5.4 trillion. Meta at $1.5 trillion. On April 20th, when I gave this presentation, they had just announced the layoff of 8,000 people. Guys doing code and all, 8,000. But the interesting thing is they gave them a 30-day out, loaded their computers with tracking software, so the last 30 days they could learn their jobs, which they agreed to. That's in the crosshairs. The other thing, when you compare, these are 5 large AI companies, the total value of the US roofing industry is about $48 billion, or about 0.8% of NVIDIA. I'm sorry, I always thought we were gigantic. We're not gigantic compared to what's going on out here, which I think part of it is maybe why we're not really in the crosshairs with everything else. And the big thing is we don't need to become big. We need to be more effective. We're an essential needs service. Okay? I thought that was pretty stunning information. The other thing I learned quick on, and I thought it was very important, is the Gartner hype curve. Every time there's some form of a technology that enters the marketplace, or we find out about it, it explodes with hype. The internet did, heck, fax machines, emails. They're going to solve the world, and they don't. They get blown out of proportion, and they ultimately peak, and people have thrown money into it, time, effort, and then they find out it doesn't do what it's really supposed to do, and interest drops off, and it bottoms out into a trough of disillusionment. I think from before that 2 and 3 mark in that dip is where it runs into a spreadsheet test, and people start looking, are they getting the money out of their effort that they're putting in? It always goes back up and it levels off. So let's not get caught up in the hype of everything going on, kind of like the slide before. Okay, next slide. I've heard everything that another part of this journey is when I sit in presentations, I can really see through a lot of things because of a basic knowledge. But people say, AI hallucinates. I've heard them say it lies to you. You're not sure of what's going on. Well, why is that? And I think this is critical. In traditional computing, take a program like Excel, it's programmed that 1 + 1 = 2 every time. It can't do anything else. So you put input in, there's a function that happens, and it gives you the output. If you put garbage in, you get garbage out, right? Which we've heard that forever. Well, artificial intelligence, and especially generative artificial intelligence, is different. Data goes into the large language model, which algorithms and statistics are applied. This large language model has a neural network. There's a lot of math that goes on. And out the other end comes a predicted response. It's trying to, at the most basic level, guess the next word. So if we go back to traditional computing, we put numbers in. In artificial intelligence, we put tokens in, which are parts of sentences, of parts of code. It runs through, it enters this large language model. That's basically everything that it can gather. It applies math, it checks it, it rechecks it, it spits out what the best answer is. So if I put in the token dawn, it will, just that word in that LLM, it'll position it, maybe next to the word with Dawn dish soap or the sun rising like dawn. But if I put the word Hulsinger behind it, everything changes. And now everything is predicting that goes towards roofing and National Women in Roofing and JDRF and other things. And then it makes its best prediction at what comes out the other end, which is a function of how well the LLM is trained and the quality of the content in the LLM. So it's not for sure. Is this making sense to anybody, everybody? Any questions or anything? Yes, ma'am. No, we're good.
No, you're doing a good job, Wayne.
Great, Wayne.
Okay, well, it doesn't stop there.
I have questions at the end. We're just sitting all here enthralled, waiting for be able to start talking.
I'm sorry.
No, I just keep going. It's great.
Okay, let me blow through this. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. This is great. And, you know, there's a lot of people out, and I don't mean to offend anybody, trying to sell AI or they're AI experts or I don't know. They've got something. And I always ask them, I say, what does Chat GPT even mean? I've yet to have anybody could tell me the definition of Chat GPT and why it's important. And again, of course, it's getting better, right? But what is Chat GPT? Well, chat is the way that you communicate with the large language model. You chat, right? In the little chat box. And GPT is a generative pre-trained transformer. Well, it's generative. It's the tokens that are coming in are being generated and populating the LLM. And in that neural network, algorithms and equations and all kinds of math are happening. And it's transforming those tokens, numbers, after math's been applied to them. It transforms them into an answer that it thinks you want. Wow. So ChatGPT, if you just knew what that means, you have a large understanding of generative artificial intelligence, which most people don't know. Again, why definitions matter. I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, that's ChatGPT. Next. Oh, well, I use Claude, I use Gemini, I use Microsoft Copilot. Well, of course you do. I kind of look at this at the most roofing basic level. One's a Ford, one's a Chevy, one's a Dodge, one's a Toyota. Pick the one you think best works for you. I'm trying to solve pretty simple problems. I'm not trying to solve cancer. I'm not trying to take people to the moon. I want to sell roofing. ChatGPT works wonderful for me and can go way over my head anytime it wants to. Okay, so you just figure out what works best. Next. Now, yeah, I think this is a good time. Everybody, think in your mind when you became aware of AI. When's the first time you heard it? Well, not so much that, but really when you started using it, right? And for me, it was not long ago. It's when I went through this revelation a couple, 3 years ago. However, Heidi helped me out in an RT3 meeting in Washington, D.C. We met Representative Delaney that was on the Congressional AI Caucus. He used to be in charge of it. He presented to us. Do you remember that? We're in a room talking about AI in probably 2018, probably 10
Yes.
years ago. And then
Yes.
he had just left. It was his last presentation because he had decided to run for president.
Mm.
So anyway, hell, Congress knew about it. They were worried about it and having subcommittees on it 10 years ago. So somewhere in my notes, which I'll find through, I found out the history of AI. Oh, because I didn't understand what AI was. So I prompted, what is AI? And I got an answer. And that's the way you used to do it. Prompt engineering is ancient history. It's not important anymore. We don't do prompt engineering. That ended in 2025. We're doing context engineering now. because chat 4.0 or 5, and remember when I took my classes on chat, you couldn't talk to it 2 years ago. You had to type everything in. Now you talk to it. With 5.2 or whatever we're on now, context engineering's out because now you could ask it a paragraph. So I jotted a note down here. And this is all very recently. Prompt engineering, uh, it does not have high impact anymore. And neither does context engineering. AI is now, and I use it this way, it's a reasoning partner. You frame problems to it. You guide it through your thinking. You push for better answers. You work with it. Now, Google, you just put a word in and went to somebody's website. Prompt engineering, I take it into an LLM and take it a swag at what you wanted. Well, now it's getting even more powerful and much faster. I mean, much more sophisticated. Okay. And again, take these slides, go back, look at it. It's just a lot to do in 45 minutes. Next slide. I was thinking of, God, I was in a briefing just the other day and an association briefing, and this marketing expert got up and he said, AI is really nothing more than Google 2.0. It's Google 2.0. And I just wanted to pound my head. And I'm like, why do I have this knowledge? And I've got to shut my mouth, right? So AI is, let's say, somewhere between an Excel macro and complete and total science fiction. And if you let your mind get away, you're going to get out of practicality and get into possibilities, which are absolutely incredible. But that doesn't pay the bills. I really want to stay grounded, keep my AI practical, and solve problems at my level that it can, again, instead of trying to understand the universe. Okay? So think practically about it and get ROI. Next slide, please. It's to the point. Anything I do with AI, I track time to first value. I look at how much time and money I put into it and when I'm going to get the first money back out of it, when it's going to win. I would suggest that you do the same thing. And that's at any level. In other words, go back to that Gartner's hype scale and get into that spreadsheet evaluation mode that I'm at. Okay, next slide. I've backed off a little bit on this, but because it's a generative LLM and it's learning from everything you put in it, that little chat box, the rule that I was all running by, don't put anything in there that you wouldn't email a competitor because it becomes public, not only to you, but to China, to India. It's the way it works. It's the way it learns. So probably, especially we're in roofing, how important could anything we're doing really go in there? But understand it's not private. And I'm not comfortable putting spreadsheets in unless they're redacted, or you've built a secure GPT of your own and you can operate securely. I'm not comfortable putting in sales reports or any proprietary information of course, of my own or of my company I represent. The other thing is your employees, you can tell them the same thing. 33% of the companies don't allow employees to use AI at work. You got to know they're going home and asking it the same questions. In my opinion, it's best to set up AI terms, a sandbox with a fence or a safety gate around it where they can work there safely without risking critical information. So anything you do, security and risk management is involved. And maybe you really need to get an answer. You got to evaluate how important is it really and how badly you need it. Okay, next. You invest in AI, either buying an enterprise system or agentic AI. I always kind of use Salesforce. Salesforce, very easy to sell to C-suite, C-level people. And then it trickles down to the rep that's trying to get Wi-Fi at Burger King and filling out a very complicated Salesforce about the birthday of the dog of the architect that you're calling on, and it's 90 degrees out. Why am I putting all this stuff in there? So you get pushback. You don't want to do it. There's very specific numbers on this that it's sold upstairs very simply. Implementation may involve threats and strong arm tactics to get these reports and stuff up. But AI has a much better adoption rate, but the same problem exists. You're asking people to change and use a new technology, and they're used to what they're doing, and in their mind, what works. It takes real leadership at a lot of levels. If you do get into an AI solution, how to get your team to adopt it. And it gets back to basic leadership. Okay, next. I think we're towards the end. I put ROI first of everything. You've got to manage your risk while you're doing it. And I go back to the thing, if you're not comfortable with AI or you think you're really comfortable with it, we're not a target right now. We're okay. AI is not going to replace roofers. It may replace roofers that don't use AI. I tried to future-proof myself in the beginning, and now I've embraced it, and I enjoy the learning process. Okay? And
you want to mention?
we haven't talked about any future stuff or what outer space is going to look like. I think all of this is very practical, good to know information. But next slide.
Wayne, this is the
Yes.
slide that has your typo. Did you want to mention that?
Oh, yes. It's very important. I want to do this. I do not have one keystroke in this presentation. Not one. All of this was done over a proprietary GPT that I built personally. And most of this was done while I was driving. Okay. Specifically, I know when I put this presentation, I was going from a sporting clays tournament for the Polk County Roofer Association in Lakeland to the Roofing Contractors Deck Applicator Contractors Association in Fort Lauderdale, and put this presentation together actually on a program on Grok, and then transferred it over. But I'm telling you, I did not see any hallucinations or mistakes It had to do it on purpose. It misspelled my name on the last
Jeez.
slide.
Yeah.
And I know that SOB did it on purpose. I knew it was messing with me. So you have to, and that's why we're responsible for all the output of all the good things and the bad things that come out of this. Things are right or wrong. There's people that are responsible. Nobody's going to sue AI. They're going to sue you if it's not wrong or not right. And that's why I have the disclaimer at the front, because no way am I an expert on this.
Oh, that's a video.
Oh, yeah. Well, wait a minute, Fred. Proofreading is everything because you're responsible for everything that comes out of this. But we have to go into the future with just a minute left. I have a client up in the north part of the state, and they've got a lot of buildings, and they need some solutions on them that I'm helping provide. And one of them is a recycling plant. And on the left, I don't know if it'll play, I was walking through there and just covered in filth. And there's these workers taking construction products, hand picking them off and throwing them down those bins that drop down. We're 35 feet in the air, 40 feet in the air. The dump trucks, the scoop loaders come get it, put it in dump trucks, and they sort it out. Well, we're stumbling along through there because I got to look at the roofs, we're looking at the decks and all. It's just disgusting. And the second video, I see this monitor and all this junk is blowing through there. And I said, what is that? And I'm telling you, this guy running a recycling plant starts to talk about his AI-driven sorter of garbage and how they've trained the LLM. And 4 months ago, it was at 64% accuracy. It's now at teaching itself, it's at 98% accuracy. It'll be at 99.2% accuracy. And the third slide, this mechanical arm is picking trash off the line after the AI has determined what it is. And I jokingly said, I don't think it's a good time to be a high-vis vest salesman. I don't think a lot of people are going to have high-vis vests. He says, right now, this system specifically came from France. We have one of these. We have 24 more on order, and none of these people will be here picking garbage. And I said, wow. I was thinking of the meta guys in the crosshairs. And then all the way down on the other end are other people in crosshairs. Okay. So this starts talking about, robots and automation could appear. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll leave you with that.
Oh,
So again, this was written a month or so ago, or 2 months ago, and it came up that AI is replacing repetitive labor. Well, down in my notes somewhere, I have just taken a class on robotics. And there's a technique, instead of using a large language model, feeding it with tokens, training it, and coming out on the other end with an event, there's companies using LBMs, large behavioral models. And instead of tokens, they're equipping workers with video cameras, and they're watching them do normal tasks, anything from heart surgery to replacing shingles. And it's learning the movements, it's training, they're evaluated, and then they apply a diffusion factor that if you're a worker and you get tired and your hands shake and the motor skills change, they have to tighten. It's work through that, and it provides the most perfect action every time. There's Toyota plants using them. It makes what I filmed look 100 years old,
Is
and this
this
is
a
all
video?
within the last couple months. So it's moving
Okay.
very fast. And then, I'm just explaining it roughly, but I have it, in detailed writing. So shingle roofers and robots, are you really going to buy an expensive robot to put shingles on? Well, you look at what Tesla's doing in Austin. They've shut down their X line and their Y line for their automobiles to produce Optimus robots. I understand the resources that go into one Tesla Model 3 equals 26 robots. And if they're programmed with this, you could have a lot of robots at scale really fast. So that's my little vision of the future there. And
Wow.
I'm open to, again, anything you guys want. Um, Give me a call, talk to me. I'll email you anything I have. It's just about what I've been going through. Oh, I have one last slide that,
Oh, let me pull this up.
yeah,
Yep, you
this
do.
was this was a request from,
I'm looking for the share control. Hang on
yeah,
just a second.
we put it right at the end, I think.
Yep, here we go.
Yeah.
And boom, there it is.
Oh, there it is. So I wound up taking I took 80 hours at MIT and no code and machine learning. And one of my projects was to write my own program. So I have a nice description of it right here that's sanitized and won't get me in trouble. But as my project, and I have about a year in this, I developed Delta Intel. And it's not for sale, it's not for public stuff. I thought RT3 might find it interesting, but it's a roofing intelligence program that identifies projects, the right projects, very, very early in design stage where we can affect the specifications for some of our value-added products. So we have to have the right building, hit them at the right time with the right message. So it does all that. It gives KPIs, ROIs, tracks how well it does, and produces information in basically 3 different levels for the worker, for the mid-management distributor, or its C-suite, which are always completely different messages, and then tracks the projects to the end. And it's getting better and smarter all the time. It's loaded with a lot of proprietary information accumulated over a lot of years. And that's, Karen asked, do you have anything that you've done with it? And yes, well, Delta Intel we use. Just as an insight for our own people. Any questions or anything?
Heidi.
I just want to say, one of the things you said, I've written it down. It is so smart. Reasoning partner. That AI is a reasoning partner. I mean, what a great way to put it, Wayne. And so I am so incredibly impressed with what you've done and how inspirational you are, because there's been a lot of headwinds about accepting AI and bringing it into our businesses, bringing it into the industry, a lot of fear, a lot of, people not really understanding it or not wanting to make those, not wanting to accept it. But the way you've put it, and especially that term, a reasoning partner, it's a tool, it's a reasoning partner. It's
It's
just like if, yeah, it's just excellent.
and it is, and I'll tell you, GPT-6 is probably a month away. And right now, anybody that's used any of these models, it's like talking on a radio. Or Heidi, it's like we're talking now. I talk, you wait, and then you talk back. That's how GPT works. That's called half duplex. Um, Hello, this is you, you, this is me. Yes, do this, do that, and you have that delay. Well, 6.0, that's going away to full duplex. So while you're talking, it knows your inflection, it knows your attitude, it knows you, and it's thinking, doing its LLM thing of what you want. But just like we're talking, you're also thinking about other things. So it is, so is it. So if I change my input mid-sentence, change what I'm saying, it knows exactly where I'm going. And it's changed its answer that it's predicting to give me. So now it's really getting closer to like talking to a really smart person.
So I have,
That's a game changer, and it's really a game changer for agentic AI. When you're talking to a customer service and it's AI, and it wants to know information about your account. I always answer the same thing, Arizona, because I know that word is not in its LLM, and it just screws it up every time. Well, it's going to be really hard. It's going to do a lot for agentic roofing or agentic programs and all, and that's around the corner. And remember, 3.0, you had to type into it. 4.0, you could talk into it. 6.0, it's really going to become the reasoning partner and your bud, that's going to get you. And then if it's trained properly, it can be really, really good. But you still, like Fred said, you got to proofread. You doggone right you do, because you're responsible for that stuff.
So I have a quick question. I think our generation has been, and you really laid this out at the beginning so well. We've been through so many changes. I mean, when I started, I was on a typewriter in high school. I was doing cards into a computer in college, and then I didn't get my first laptop until, I was well into, my first job. And not it wasn't a laptop, it was just a desktop. And so we've seen all these changes. I think our generation is a little bit easier to adapt and adopt because we've had to. So we've come so far in technology, but we also have had to learn the industry, the wisdom, the understanding of what's going on in roofing. So I don't worry about our generation so much. And I think that's one of the reasons why we find a lot of us who are just like enamored with AI, because we have the knowledge to put into it and then that reasoning partnership. I worry about the next generation that's coming out of college right now, that's coming, that just coming into the roofing industry, into the workforce, who do not have the knowledge yet, and but yet have all these powerful AI tools. And it seems like it's either there's a real, they really adopt it, but yet they don't have the opportunity to get the experience to understand what they're the roofing information, or they're just totally against. They're like, they're not. And so I'm wondering about your thoughts on that, about that next generation, Wayne, and how we can
Well,
help them get that knowledge.
And Fred, you're just right there in front of my screen. I know when you were out there searching for answers, you had to work to get those answers. You didn't just chat into a machine and it taught you about screws or something, right? You had to talk to people, you had to network, you had to work your butt off to get that knowledge. And when you got it, you weren't going to let it go. Instead of just keying it in, and there it is. I have a closing statement that I don't know answers this or not, but AI will not create lasting business value in itself. Value will come from experienced people using it within well-designed processes and eventually directing both digital agents and physical robots to perform work more safely, intelligently, and productively. And it's a tool, Heidi. And are you going to teach them to use that tool smart or not? And then I almost think it gets back to winners hang with winners and losers hang with losers. There you go.
Heidi, you almost answered your own question when you asked it, right? You said you love that Wayne said it was a reasoning partner, and you think you said something that was quite provocative that our generation, and we're in the same generation, will be okay with this because we've seen a bunch of iterations over the last 35 years. But what about the 22-year-olds that don't have the knowledge to fall back on, and it goes from being a reasoning partner to a source of knowledge? That's the concern, right? If it's or a partner that's helping you get to an end, like helping Wayne create that really cool presentation, which would he could have done, but it would have taken days and hours and iterations, to somebody who doesn't have the knowledge base to create a presentation that's BS. That's the scary part.
Fred, you mentioned something that I completely missed. Good decision or bad decision, what this thing comes up with, the way you use it, it is going to save immense amounts of time. And what do you do with the time that you saved? Right? So there's university professors that have figured that out. And what you do is, I saved 2 days on this, 3 days on this presentation. What do I do with it? Well, do I refill it with boring everything to do days and burn my task and burn my people out? Do I take the day off, have a mental health day, go fishing or whatever? What do you do with the time that you're going to save? Don't, serious, wow, that took 30 minutes. What do I do with the next 2 days? No, already have it planned out.
Well,
And,
I salute you, Wayne, because you're
sir,
sitting here talking, we're the same generation, right? You're talking about going back to school and learning coding and learning robotics, right? So you've already got your plans. You're like, I'm freeing up time. I'm going for more. I'm expanding my knowledge base. So yeah, I salute you for that. Well done.
what they're saying, one of the things you do is every day we get up, and I know this is not the good term to use, but it's meant friendly. We go out and exploit people and situations and everything, right? We're trying to get an advantage, get orders, get roofs put on, get people to do what we want, or let's call it execution time.
Yeah,
Take
not
that, take
exploit.
that,
Bad
take
word.
that, sir.
Like, exploit's a terrible word. We all got your
Yeah,
point.
but in a good way,
Yeah.
So what you do is you take that time and you turn it to exploration. So go from spend 20% of your, if you're saving 20% of your time, explore how you're going to make your life better, how you're going to make yourself better, how you're going to make your company better, how you're going to make your industry better. And that's what I'm doing. This is all exploration as
And I've got to
opposed,
believe that, Wayne, I've got to think for someone like you, exploration is also therapeutic, right?
yes.
Right. So it gives you comfort and you enjoy it. Someone else may be like, look, I just saved 3 hours. I'm going to go gardening. I'm going to go ride my bike. I'm going to go, something, right? It's just, you have the time now. And, this is one of the things that I tell roofers all the time. You shouldn't be doing all of these things. Let this
Exactly.
do it and go sell more roofs or go pick your kid up from school and take them somewhere fun, right?
Improve the quality of your life.
Amen.
And you know what? Maybe AI will get us down to a 3-day work week. You
That'd
know,
be fantastic.
okay, so I've gone on and on. Wayne at Delta Rep Group, if somebody needs to talk to me, or I'm on the RT3 register. And because I saved all this time, I'm available. So,
Wayne, thank
but
you so much
thank you. I
for
hope it was okay.
the presentation.
Well,
It
it's
was
very good, Wayne.
fabulous. Yeah. And just a couple, I know we're out of time, but just a couple quick reminders. Innovator of the Year Award is open. We're accepting nominations. So if you know a contractor out there who's innovating and needs to be recognized, please submit your nomination. It's on our website, rt3thinktank.com under Innovator Award. And Tech Task Team is meeting next Friday to revisit some of the resources that we've developed and talk about what's next. So many of you reached out to me that you want to be a part of it. If you're not on that meeting next Friday and want to be, send me a quick note and I'll send you the invitation. Anybody have anything else? Excellent. I'll put this
Oh,
up on our
thank-
YouTube channel as well so that you can access it later. And if anybody needs a copy of the slides, I have those too.
Well, thank you, and
Thank you,
thanks
Wayne.
to RT3.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye.
Wayne. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.